It's been a while, I gotta see if I remember how to do this. Bob Barker looking microphone. On the price is right. Hey, it's Mike. Let's talk about Reaper. Seems like it's been forever and a day since I released a video, although I have been doing live streams a little bit more often. Thanks to you guys for showing up when I live stream. It's good to know that I'm still appreciated and loved in the community, or at least I hope I am. Anyways, in today's video, we'll be looking at a new all-in-one vocal processor from Chris Lippe called Vocal Menace.
Chris Lippe here. I've been using something behind the scenes on this channel to make the performed vocals that you hear sound extra awesome.
I can't say I do a whole lot of plugin reviews on this channel, but the few times that I do, admittedly they seem to get the most views, so apparently people like plugins. Now you guys know I'm a bit of a sucker for a good channel strip, and PSP Infinistrip is arguably my desert island plugin that I can't live without. It gives me all the controls that I need for just about every track at my fingertips. So will Vocal Menace take the place of PSP Infinistrip in my vocal chain? Let's find out. But before we do, be sure to smash that like button and also the notification bell. And if you haven't subscribed, you have subscribed, haven't you? Click that subscribe button as well. It'll only take a few seconds of your time and it greatly helps the channel, and it's a bit of a morale boost to see people still continuing to like and subscribe to the channel despite me not having released anything in a few months. So let's take a look at that plugin. The project I've got open is a new song by my band Midlife Riot, and this is called All Who Wander. I recently did a live stream for both tracking the vocals as well as comping and editing the vocals. I'll leave a link in the description for both of those. The mix is not done for this yet, but let's take a listen to the ending. Since this is a vocal processing plugin, I like to focus primarily on, well, the vocals. Particularly the harsh vocals in this case. If we take a look at the vocal processing that's currently on my harsh vocals track, we can see I've got SPL Deverb Plus. I use that because even though I've got treatment in this room, the 14-foot ceilings and the size of this room combined with the hardwood floors makes it a little bit active. I love the sound of this room for my drums, but it can be a little bit of a challenge with vocals because of that echo. And this really helps to pull some of that out. Up next, I've got PSP Infinistrip in mono mode, and you can see that I'm adding a very small amount of gain, some drive. I've got some filters to remove a little bit of low end. I'm running a couple of layers of compression as well as a de-esser, some EQ, and some saturation. If you have a keen eye, you may also notice Vocal Menace in the lineup, but it's currently disengaged, and we'll take a look at that a bit later. So let's take a listen to the end of this song with the current processing using PSP Infinistrip, and then we'll dive into Vocal Menace. And for an unfinished product, I feel that that's sounding pretty good. Let's go back to the part where the screams come in and isolate those vocals and take a listen to them with PSP Infinistrip. This life I live is not my own! And you can hear a little bit of reverb on that because I'm also pushing it through a reverb bus just to give it a little bit more life. It sounds counterintuitive since I removed some verb from the room, but I wanted to have some consistent reverb across different tracks, so I used Fame Studio Reverb from IK Multimedia to route several things through. So let's bring up our effects chain again. We'll disable PSP Infinistrip, and I'll even disable the SPL Deverb Plus, and let's take a listen to those vocals isolated with no effects at all. This life I live is not... Probably helps if I disable that reverb bus, so let me mute that. And let's try that again. This life I live is not my own! So the natural vocal sounds pretty good in and of itself, but let's take a look at Vocal Menace and see what we can do with this. I'll engage the plugin, and right now it's in its default state. Let's pop this out of the interface so we can focus a bit better. And I like that the plugin is resizable. I work on a 4K screen, and I know that a lot of you will also appreciate that this is scalable. It does look like some of the graphics tend to fall apart a little bit as you get larger, but that's not that big of a deal. It doesn't affect the sound in any way, shape, or form. Up at the top left corner, we've got a couple of dots, and I found that if I click on these dots, I can choose from different skins that are available for the plugin. I think I kind of like this white one. One thing that I really appreciate about this plugin is the tooltips. If we look down in this lower portion of the plugin, as I mouse over any of the controls, it tells me what each control does. So here we have a sheen control, and it says it adds presence and air post-compression. The girth control adds warmth and depth post-compression. The cup feature, this is an interesting one that simulates cupping the mic. I don't know why you would ever want to do that, but if you wanted to simulate cupping the mic...
This is me doing a cupping death metal vocal! Ooh, scary, scary, scary! I'm a scary death metal guy! Ooh, look out for me!
It has a control for that function. The next section goes to effects, and we have reverb length and volume. The call control adjusts the delay feedback width and volume. The pain control adds internal sidechain compression to the reverb and delay signal. What I like about that is it seems to push down the effects until the natural vocal has decayed. So it's a great way to keep your effects from overtaking the primary vocal. The main control up top, we've got input gain as well as output gain. And looking again at the tooltips, the input gain adds or removes gain to the signal before compression, and compression controls are here in the center. And then your output adds or removes gain to the signal after compression. So this is the same as makeup gain in other compressors. And we've got a drive control that adds saturation to the compressed signal. Now, we don't exactly have a threshold or attack and release control, but this dot in the center will alter the threshold of the compressor and limiter. And if I left click and drag up or down, I can increase or decrease that anywhere from 0 to 100%, but I have no clue what the actual attack and release times are. In some respects, I appreciate that approach because it forces you to use your ears, as the saying goes, instead of worrying so much about numbers. So with all that said, let's set all of these parameters to 0 for the time being. And let's start to compress these vocals.
This life I live is not my own!
I like that I can see the gain reduction in this outer ring here. It seems like my vocals were already pretty consistent, but at the same time, adding this compression adds a little bit more, well, consistency. It's ever so slight, but I can appreciate what it's doing to the vocal so far. Let's add a bit of drive.
This life I live is not my own!
I really like what that saturation is doing there. It's adding a lot more aggression to those vocals. I do need to reduce the output gain a bit so I'm not so much louder than the original source.
This life I live is not my own!
And already that's sounding pretty good with about 46% on the compression. Just for the sake of even more even numbers, let's move up to 50. I don't know why. And let's take a listen to this in context.
This life I live is not my own! This life I take will be my own!
That's sounding pretty good. Let's take a look at the sheen control and try to add a little bit more presence to this. I'll solo the vocals again.
This life I live is not my own!
And you can most definitely hear the presence it's added back to the signal. Since I've already explained what these other controls do, I'll stop talking for a moment and just go through and make adjustments, and let's see how it sounds.
This life I live is not my own! This life I take will be my own! This life I live is not my own! This life I take will be my own!
I can definitely appreciate the reverb and the delay that this adds, particularly with this sidechain to help push the effects down so the primary vocal can cut through. All in all, this is a fairly simplistic channel strip, but I really like what it's doing, and I like how easy it was to dial in something that sounded good. Or at least it sounded good in solo. Let's go back and take a listen to this in context again. I'll add back my reverb bus here, but I think I want to dial back how much of the harsh vocals I'm sending to the reverb bus in favor of the reverb that's included with the Vocal Menace plugin.
This life I take will be my own. This life I live is not my own. This life I take will be my
I'm really liking what that's doing to the vocals. Let's check out one more part where I've got some harsh vocals.
Introspective, dramatic conclusions from every perspective. Never-ending dialogue without as much conversation.
And there you have it. I don't really want to belabor this too much. The plugin seems to speak for itself. That delay is still going. Given that the plugin is free, I think it's definitely worth taking a bit of time to check it out. Is it a suitable replacement for PSP Infinistrip? Well, for me, not exactly, because it is specific to vocals. I'm sure it can be used on other things, but PSP Infinistrip is still, and probably will be for a long time to come, my Desert Island plugin. Is it a worthy addition to my collection? Most definitely. I love how easy it was to dial in a sound that I liked with the vocals. And I do feel that I could possibly use this in conjunction with PSP Infinistrip on my vocals, and perhaps reduce a little bit of the processing that Infinistrip is doing in favor of what Vocal Menace is doing. Another thing that I didn't mention is Vocal Menace is reporting 0 latency in Reaper, so this would be a good product to use if you're live streaming. At any rate, it's free, so what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description to check out Vocal Menace today. I think it'll definitely enhance your workflow and allow you to get a sound that you like a lot quicker. I hope this helps. If you like the content you're seeing, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And you can support the channel further by clicking the Buy Me a Coffee. I like coffee. 10% Hawaiian coffee. Can they really even market this as Hawaiian if it's only 10%? Super thanks, or Patreon link below. Visit us on Discord and engage with other Reaper users. We'll see you next time. This unique blend begins at our Kalaheo estate, where our orchard is nourished by rich volcanic soil and showered by fresh mountain rain, kissed by the bright Pacific sun, and cooled by the gentle Hawaiian trade winds. 10% Hawaiian trade winds. Smells good.